Before I wake up, I dream I'm on the way up. They say I'm great, but I just know I can be greater. My mama told me to stay focused, fuck a hater. And just be patient, mama, we no longer waiting no more. Before I wake up, I dream I'm on the way up.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I wish I had like a more formal way to get these things started, but today on this episode of Groomed Intellect, we got one of my good friends that I met from cutting hair probably 2-3 years ago. I want to say as far as 4, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't really know how far back it goes.
It's been a minute. I want to say
it's
about 4.
It's been a little minute now. You know, this guy's a real special guy. You know what I mean? Out of all the people whose hair I cut, there's a select few that I got really close with, you know, and I think this relationship started over us simply sharing the couple titles of some books that we were reading at that point in time of our life. So, you know, I naturally thought like, man, this is the type of person, you know, that I need in my circle. People that we can exchange knowledge and information and stuff like that. So I don't know how we ended up seeing each other outside of work, but I know ultimately we ended up becoming gym partners. We had a group of maybe 5 or 6 guys, all like-minded individuals.
Getting
and
to
we
it.
all was getting in the gym together, man. And that's kind of where our bond started to form, just putting in them 6 days, sometimes 3-hour workouts.
Going crazy.
Just really digging deep with these fellas. And that's something that reminded me of like how I came up playing football and other sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, that brotherhood.
So, but what brings us here today is I want to talk to my homie Jay about fatherhood. I know, you know, this would be like an additional episode about fatherhood.
Yeah.
Different characters.
Yeah, because you did a segment already.
Same qualifications as far as like being a father.
Yeah.
But just a little bit of a different experience. Now, my man, how many kids you got, bro?
Hey, your boy got a basketball starting at 5. I got 5 of them things, all right? 5 kids, you know, that I love dearly. Starting off with my first, I'll give you guys ages. My first is 10 years old, all right, my daughter. I got 2 boys, 8 and 7, and I got 2 babies, all right? They're Irish twins, 2 years old and 18 months. So that's my 5, starting 5 right there.
So that right there, you know, is another thing that we bond over, and that's fatherhood. You know, when I first became a father myself, I was pretty young. I was 22.
Yeah.
Well, you was a little bit younger than that.
Yeah, I was 16. Your boy was getting to the action.
I was 22, but, you know, it wasn't a lot of people my age that had kids. So it's kind of like this little feeling of isolation for this new chapter of your life. So things get a little bit different when you start to meet people that also have kids. You know, fatherhood, it just gets a little more fun when you can still do things with your own peers, but also like bring your offspring into it
exactly.
as well. So that's just something that we take pride in, though, as a friend group, is the fatherhood. We even got this group chat, we called it the Founding Fathers. You know, 'cause we bond over being a father,
absolutely,
first and foremost, then weights, and then just self-improvement and journaling. Like that's what we've been about for the last few years. So for today, you know, let's go ahead and get right into it. I wanted to tap into your expertise in terms of parenting and kind of just go over some of the things that you've been through over parenting for the past 11 years. So the first question that I want to ask you is, what is fatherhood to you? This is the same question from the first episode. What does fatherhood mean to you, though?
Fatherhood, I love that. What does fatherhood mean to me? To answer that, you know, I have to go back to when I grew up without a father, right? Because I believe that when you give a definition of something, you have to take it back to its root. And for me, you know, I grew up without a father and didn't even know what fatherhood was, right? And when I had my daughter at 16 years old, that's one of the most scariest things that I've been through, right? Because now I have a child coming into this world, and now I have to be a father to it without having no idea what a father is supposed to do, right? And so kind of through that process of raising my daughter, right, I kind of had to figure it out and put the pieces together of what fatherhood was, you feel me? And really kind of gain that definition for myself. So I think that fatherhood is a couple of things, right? I feel like, you know, fatherhood, first and foremost, is being present, being active in your child's life, right? Because anybody can create a child, right? But it takes an actual father or man to actually be there and take care of them, right? And that really hits home to me, again, for not having a father there, right? You know, because everybody got a dad, but if it's not present, it causes a long line of issues. So first, being present, being there, being in your child's life is being a father. Second, I would say, you know, rearing your child, right? Because you can also be there, but you can also not teach your kid nothing, right? I think that, you know, being a father is also teaching your kids, rearing them, right? Me and my boy, we talk about rearing our kids all the time, you know?
That's my favorite word.
and basically helping them grow. I believe we live in a society today to where, you know, more parents are wanting to be their kids' friends and actually parent their kid or teach them or rear them, right? And so for me, fatherhood is really about rearing and teaching my daughters and my sons, teaching my daughters, you know, how to respect themselves and to be ladylike and to kind of help guide that. And my sons to be masculine and to really know, you know, how to move as a man, which I wish I had, right? I grew up with just my mom and sisters, no masculine energy whatsoever. You feel me? So, you know, my son to be like, okay, how is a man supposed to move? How is a man supposed to talk? How is a man supposed to respond, right, to different things occurring in his life that he's going to end up facing as he gets older, right? And so, again, being able to teach my kids, and ultimately, third, you know, unconditional love. You feel me? Loving your children without any type of conditions on it, man. You know, being understanding, you know, validating them, being there through it all. I would say those three things to me kind of make the essence of fatherhood as a whole, you know. So just kind of to recap, being present, right? Second, teaching them, all right? And third, just loving on them, right? I would say is the essence of fatherhood for me. Yeah.
Okay. That was a hell of an answer. I really love the energy behind that. So, would you say that you figured it out as you went?
100%.
And would you say that the tidbits that you felt you lacked the most, do you feel like those are what you turned into your pillars of fatherhood?
Absolutely. I love the way that you put that, man, that some of the things that you like the most, you kind of tend to build upon, right? Because, you know, they have a way of exposing themselves to you throughout parenthood. And you just be like, and if you're a growing parent or an evolving parent, you want to build upon those things. You want to become better to be able to give your spawn, your seed, you know, something better. So absolutely, 100%. I would say that that some of those things that I talked about came from a place of, you know, hurt, pain, and just areas that I was very uncertain with and wanted to build upon. And it actually became a very strong foundation for me.
Exactly. That's exactly the same experience that I've been having as far as being a parent, you know, because like you said, you never had the perfect example or example at all for that matter. And I had the same situation, but the one thing I did know is that I remember feeling certain feelings and wanting for certain things from my father that I wasn't able to get at all, or I wasn't able to get consistently, you know, for my needs to be satisfied. So when it was my turn, you know, those, and that's why I asked you that, you know, those became my pillars for who I am as a father and what is important to me as far as what I stand for and what I know my sons and daughters are gonna need out of a father growing up. Because another way that I've seen parenting, which wouldn't be a firsthand experience, but it's just watching TV. You know, like the parents that you see on TV. And just to name a few, like you can got cartoons like Family Guy, Simpsons, but then you got reality shows. You got what's that with
so I grew up,
can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Bill
I grew up,
Cosby.
The Cosby Show. Grew up watching
so
that.
just like stuff like that. What's that other show that was shot in Chicago?
Oh no, I grew up watching Good Times.
You got Good Times, but there's a father. He was a police officer, and they live like on the south side of Chicago.
I don't know about that
Family
one.
Matters, I think.
Family Matters.
It might be what that is, but you got those examples, but you know, there's more than one way to parent, and there's different principles to have because
Yep.
I'm an observant person, and I study
Yeah.
I study people.
Yeah.
You know, I come in
Same.
contact with a lot of people, so when I'm at different things with my kids, and you know, there's other parents there.
Yeah,
I'm kind of just observing all
Yeah.
the different kind of parents there are. You got some parents that are more in tune with the emotional side of things, or you know, they pay more attention to the tone, and
Yeah.
even I went to like this fatherhood class or something. It was at a different barbershop, but
Yeah.
they talked about how they get down to their kids' level when they're talking to them.
Yeah.
They get eye level instead of being, you know, so big and tall.
Yeah, I think we was at the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Daddy
like,
dialogue.
you know, these are different
Yeah.
things that I wouldn't have thought of that personally, but the person that made that suggestion could have came up with that from his personal experience.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's wise to just, you know, be observant and pay attention to other people that are, you know, in the same boat as you,
Yeah.
because you might pick up something.
True.
You know what I mean? So I think that's why these kind of conversations are important,
Yeah.
because everybody's experience can be a learning and a milestone, like for the next person.
Absolutely.
You know, and we don't always have to necessarily go through that thing for us to receive that lesson. You know, you can just pass that on to your brother, and that's what we do. And that's why it's good to have friends that that are like-minded and kind of are on the same path as you.
Yeah.
Now we can veer off a little bit because
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Now, when you become a parent, though, I feel like it becomes more apparent on how intentional you need to be with the people that you surround yourself
Have
with
to be.
when you're a parent, because now you're responsible for other people's lives, and you know, you have to make sure that everybody's protected. Now, you ain't just gonna bring anybody around your family, so now in return you're getting a little selective with your friends. But you want to pick people that have purpose, because there's friends that you could have that ain't got nothing going on. If your friend ain't got no kids, they might not have the same sense of urgency as you. They might not have the same drive as you, because it's just them. And when you just caring for yourself, that's a big opportunity to be complacent and remain complacent. Now,
Yeah.
you might have friends that ain't necessarily into the wrong things, but
Yeah.
they're complacent.
Yeah.
If you got a friend that's complacent, and you know, you're the type of person that's try to push them and motivate,
Yeah.
or even just mind your business,
Yeah.
if they ain't on nothing,
Nothing.
then it's kind of like probably should limit the amount of contact, because that stuff's gonna rub off on you. So,
Absolutely.
but back to the
Yep.
parenting situation. Now, I think in the first episode we kind of talked about some more progressive things and more like background type stuff. But for this episode,
Yeah.
and for this particular guest, I want to talk about things that have been overcome when it comes to co-parenting and dealing with, because you can only do so much as a father from our end, but you know,
Yes.
the big part of that is the co-parenting and how we deal with the co-parent and navigate situations that arise.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
we get into the real nitty gritty. This is that real, right?
tell us about
Yeah.
something that could have potentially broke you, and you overcame that situation in terms
yeah.
of like co-parenting and challenges that
So,
come from that.
Hey, I'm here to say I've been through a lot of those, right? A lot of moments in my life that could have potentially broke me, but I did overcome. But yeah, co-parenting, man, co-parenting is one of those things that I believe that we need to talk more about, right? Because it is definitely complex. It's not easy by any means, you know, and I feel like we are all trying to figure out how to navigate the situation the best we can, right? Especially in the moment as we just grow to try to give our kids the best lives as possible, because that's the end goal, right? No matter you know who we with, you know, if you a good father, a present father, a loving father, a teaching father, right? You want to be there for your kid and make sure and ensure that they become successful and that you pour into them, right? And we can only also do that if we try to get along with the other person who created them, right? And so for me, again, I've had my child, my first child from a really young age, right? So we were both young, both immature. I was 16 years old.
That's crazy,
right?
bro.
And the mother of my first child was 15 years old. All right, put that in perspective, man. We were kids ourselves, right? We were just now getting into high school, right? I believe that when my daughter was born, I was a sophomore. I was a sophomore in high school, right? When my daughter was born, the mother of my child was a freshman. Let that sink in. We were kids, right? And so
let's pause this because I got this guest here. Man, it's real raw. We just had a slight little technical interference, but we are back.
Of course.
So just to refresh, so that I'm trying to figure out a way to fix these little segments where there's an interruption, find a way to ease back into it, or maybe edit it out. I don't know.
I would edit it and just transition into it nicely. Yeah.
We were talking about the co-parenting situation.
Yeah.
And
that's where we left off at.
The triumphs of that. So go ahead, go get back into it.
Getting the groove going. So back to what I was saying, right? I started off having to co-parent relatively young, right? Again, just to give that background, I was 16. The mother of my child was 15 years old, right? I was a sophomore in high school. She was a freshman. In high school, we were kids ourselves, right? So highly immature, right? And there was a lot going on, right? I was still young, I was definitely in love with the mother of my child, but I was also young, which means that, anything that walked by that looked good, you feel me? I was here, right? Definitely my father's son. Definitely my father's son.
We ain't gonna get into it.
But so, there is a lot there, and so, we can get into the infidelity part of it, right? There was times within me and my mother, the mother of my child's relationship, that I got into infidelity, that I was messing around. There's also times that she was messing around, you feel me? And so things got toxic, right? Let's talk about that, right? How many of us been in toxic relationships, right? Yeah, right? I can raise my hand on that.
Part of growing up at some point, I don't know.
Which makes it hard, to co-parent sometimes, you feel me? And so what happens is things get messy, right? Things get very emotional, right? And here's the thing, it doesn't just affect you when it does, when you have a little one. It affects that child, right? And once things start to get a little bit rocky with me and the mother of my child, right? I don't know why, but it always seems like, the mother of the child tends to use the kid against you, right? And that was my very first time experiencing something like that, right? Because first off, I was a great father and I loved my child, right? I never experienced love the way that I did, once my child was born. It was an unexplainable type of love, right? The moment that my daughter was born and the doctors or the nurse, put her in my hands, right? And I felt her body, embraced my daughter, right? And just looked at her, right? It was something that I created, right? And it's a feeling that's hard to it's an unexplainable love, right? It's this warmth that just comes over you and you instantly become a dad in that moment, man. The moment you look at your kid, your seed, you just like, yeah, I'm a father. Like, this is mine. I'm protect. Like, ain't nothing finna touch this. Like, I got you, right? Everything just changes, right? And so that unexplainable love, right? All that, then, fast forward back into the messiness of the relationship and the toxicness, right? And, the mother wanted to use my child against me, basically just like, hey, if you don't want to be with me, you can't see your daughter.
Ooh, that shit hurt.
And because really what it comes from is, hey, if you don't want me, you can't have her, right? And now she's playing with you, right? And I think in that moment, when that first happened, that was the first time I experienced a certain type of pain, almost kind of like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. You feel me? Because when you have a kid, you live, you breathe, and you would die for that kid, right? Mm-hmm. And so when she started doing that, I'm like, man, I couldn't even really explain how I felt. Besides, it felt like, my heart was being ripped out of my chest, like something, like you were taking my heart out, right? Trying to keep me from seeing my kid. And it was so hard to deal with, when I go back there, I find myself, kind of just, I find myself with rage, right? I was angry, pissed off, like how dare you? Like first off, I know I'm wrong, but you wrong too, because you doing the same stuff.
Not gonna play
but at the end of the day, I would ride for my kid no matter what.
Now you
right?
feel like in a way it's like fighting dirty.
Yeah.
Like, you gonna use my kid against me?
Like, that's out of
Like,
everything.
that should be off limits.
Exactly.
Hit me with a bat, whatever. Don't use my kid against me.
Absolutely. Like, your kid, like, that's just like another level of pain of just like that you just can't really express, right? It's like out of this world. Like, we went there. Yeah. Out of everything you could have done, there is where you went, right? And so for me, right, when she did that, again, I was filled with rage. I was filled with anger. I was sad. I was hurt. I felt, what's a good word to articulate? I felt like I was betrayed almost. Like, at the end of the day, I understand our relationship is toxic, but you know how good of a father I am. So how could you do this to me, take me away from her just because of us, right? It just wasn't fair, right? And that's all I could think of is, and for me, it took a minute for me to overcome that, because even though that me and her kind of eventually worked things out, because it was kind of in the moment, she just was upset, and she did that, and we got back together. I just couldn't help but kind of hold on to that.
Yeah, because you stabbed me in the back, so now I'm watching my back forever, because that shit hurt.
Yeah,
that shit hurt.
And to be honest with you, I thought things would get better. It didn't.
That's that optimism.
It didn't, and I quickly found out that the more that me and her relationship didn't work out, the more she was going to sit there and use my kid against me or use it as a piece to get what she wanted, right? Because if I didn't show any interest in her, I couldn't have my daughter, right? And so it was a 2-for-1. Like, in order for me to really be around my daughter and to have my daughter and to be in my daughter's life, I had to be with you and give you all this love and interest, right?
So did you play into that at all?
Originally, I did, right? A part of me really tried to make things work, first off, because I came from a broken home. Right? Growing up, I didn't want to repeat that cycle. So part of me felt like, man, if I don't make this work, I'm a failure. I'm I'm doing exactly what my damn dad did with me.
Ooh, you finna make a nigga cry, boy.
Right? I'm just saying, like, that's how I felt. I really felt like that, man. Yeah. I did, because this is what we need to talk about, because there's so many fathers who go through this, man, because we want to break the damn cycle. And in that moment, when you're going through it and you're young, and you're trying to make that shit work, right? And all that just hits I want to break the cycle. I don't want to be a part of it, right? And then you slowly realize that this relationship ain't gonna work. I knew that it would be better for us to be apart than it was to be together, because we could co-parent without our child having to be underneath all that. You feel me? It just wasn't good, right? And so ever since me and the mother of my first child, we split up, we've had our ups and downs, man. We've had times throughout the years that things have went well, right? We have had times where things weren't, and until this day, I'm still experiencing that same thing of, if we're good and she's getting what she wants, she's getting the child support payments, all that, if I agree with her, we good, I'm seeing my daughter, when I'm supposed to be seeing, I'm getting her, I'm able to have her. But then the moment that I disagree with something, right, and I don't agree with her, or I'd be like, hey, I suggest something different, like, hey, you feeding into this type of society thing that's not really benefiting our daughter, and I give her any type of opposition, now there's an issue, right? To where I can't, then it's you can't talk to me, you can't see your daughter, again, and I found myself in this position even today. And the crazy thing about it is I've been through it so much, it doesn't affect me no more.
So you numb to it?
Numb to it. Why am I numb to it? I've asked myself this question, right? Because I've done therapy for this, right? I'm a very spiritual man. That's something that I haven't put out, in this podcast though, but I lean heavy on my faith, right? Right? Because what you see is a product of God's strength and grace, right? I feel like if I didn't have that, like, I'd be in shambles, man. I think the strength that I have now to keep moving, to keep pushing my vision, my ambition, all that I have in me, I'm getting from this, man, given what I've endured. But I've become numb to this because it's happened so many times. You build a callus on your heart, right? Just like if you were to fall and get hurt, your body naturally, you build a scar to protect it. So my heart, every time that, those things would happen when she would use my daughter, because I love my daughter so much, I instantly grew a scar, a callus to protect it. So that when it happened again, I was stronger. And I didn't feel it as much, to the point to where I didn't feel it at all. So it would happen, and it was, oh, okay, same thing, what's up? At this point, I know the game. I just know a certain amount of time has to go by. I'll eventually see my daughter again, and we'll start back, and then things will go well again, and that's kind of a unhealthy, well, not kind of, it is an unhealthy cycle, but it's a cycle that I've gotten accustomed to because I've dealt with it so long, right? And in order for me to continue, to keep pressing forward, it's just what I've adapted to, right? Adaptation, right? We're creatures of adapting, right? Given an environment or given something, we will adapt to it. And then that's exactly what I did, right? And so that is how I overcame it. I overcame it with my faith, right? Number one, my faith and just my ability to adapt, right? Which could be good, right? In some essence, but it can also be bad, right? Depending on how we look at it though. But that is how I've gotten through co-parenting, and that's kind of where that first triumph originated, with just kind of the us splitting up and being toxic and stuff like that, and her using my kid against me. And that's kind of when I really experienced that and was able to move past that and keep going. Yeah. And I know, there was a lot there. I gave a lot to unpack, but when talking about these things, man, it gets you going, man.
It does, bro. Like, the using your kid against you, that shit is just a different level of bogus. Like,
it is.
If the shoe is like, if we're gonna be in an emotional, spiritual battle, it's just like, using my kid against you is just not one of the weapons that I feel like I should be using. You know what I mean? It don't really matter what you do to me. It's just a certain line you don't cross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the person that I'm entrusting maternal instincts to care for my seed. You know what I mean? Like, I could understand you could really want me dead, but I know deep in my heart that I could trust that you gonna make sure my kids is straight. So it's just like, you really wish that you had that same type of admiration from your co-parent. You know what I mean? Like, we made this kid together. So I'm trusting you with my kids' well-being. Like, why don't I get that same energy back? You know what I mean? It don't really matter what me and you going through. It don't matter, because the simple fact is, we had those good times. You know, them good times exist. They existed. That's how we got the child we got. You know what I mean? But we choose to continue to shine our light on this BS. And like, when do we take a step back and buckle down and be like, this is nonsense? Like, I don't see how this could possibly be good for my child. It don't really matter what you did to me. You know what I'm saying? If we ain't did nothing life-threatening and all this crazy shit, bro, it's just a certain line that we should all be able to draw when it comes to the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of just wish that villages were still a thing, you know what I mean, as far as raising kids, because as we can see, what we've been trying to do as far as like fitting the stereotypical family style, it's not ideal, and it's just very hard to achieve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There used to be houses or households where you got grandma, you got mom, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got the families all
so
there helping.
The parents is at work, you know, the grandparents is at the house with the kids teaching lessons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There just was a lot more balance. Now you got a lot of families that are spread across the states. And so you may be working to take care of your family as a father, but you as the mother have to stay in the house and be a stay-at-home mom. Now there's no relief there.
Yeah.
She's cooped up, she's feeling caged up. You feeling, you know, pressurized because everything's on your shoulders. It's two different struggles, but the same amount of pressure, you know, and at what point do we break? You know what I mean? This is outside of, toxic situations. Even if you did have the ideal family structure,
Yeah.
just doing the dance itself is a lot of pressure.
It is.
And just having that family system behind you is what allows you to remain resilient.
Yeah.
And continue to just be the best thing possible that you can be for these offspring that you're raising.
Yeah.
And it just comes full circle. But we just gotten so far away from that, bro. Like everybody's just out here fighting for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are suffering. The
Yeah.
parents are suffering. The grandparents are suffering. It's
Yeah.
just, family's not valued anymore. And I don't think it's really set up in a way that we hold it to the standard of being sacred. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like one of the things that is gonna be a lifelong mission for me and my own family. I'm gonna always push for it. You know what I mean? And I'm a dreamer, so they ain't no telling where I'm gonna end up, because I didn't think I would be doing this.
Yeah.
It was a dream. Even just the podcast itself, outside of the barbershop and everything else accumulated, the podcast was a dream. All this stuff was a dream. So a dream of mine is a homestead, acres with my parents and shit. They ain't gotta live together. We got enough land. Your house is here. Your house is here.
Right.
Your house is here.
Yep.
And this is
Y'all gotta
our
see each
land.
other if you don't want, but we all here.
And this is us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh my God, that's what remind me of this show called This Is Us. That show is one of the things that, bro, like no other, had such a tie on my heartstrings, bro.
Yeah.
Like, had me crying.
Yeah.
Wet tears, bro.
But sob it.
The dream is to have that family structure again, man, because this is the fact of the matter. There's been broken families. We all have made an attempt at trying to be the ideal family.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out like that. But guess what? We still got more life to live.
Absolutely.
These kids still need to be raised.
More life. Yes.
So that was the point of us bringing up triumphs, because just because it gets ugly, man, like, at the end of the day, you still gonna be stuck with this person. Y'all still gonna have to deal with each other.
Yep.
You still got to. So how about, okay, we made some mistakes in the past. How about we get better as we move forward in the name of our children? Because now we're raising the next generation of the world. You know what I mean? And if we want to be spiritual, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
To continue the cycle, pass knowledge down so that, well-being and abundance can be spread.
Yep.
So that's what should be important. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we all have our own personal battles and emotions, but at the end of the day, we have to be strong enough to set that aside and still walk together for our kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's always a way to make it work. It just has to be something that you acknowledge and that you want to do.
Intentionality.
Being intentional.
Being intentional.
And that's kind of like one of the biggest ever-present principles, like, over my life, is in terms of being intentional, because I used to be a go with the flow type of guy. Not no more, man. My life changed. I feel like I hit rock bottom, and the results I got out of going with the flow, they were just underwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, could have been better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I got intentional,
Yep.
boy,
Things start changing.
life got different. Life got fun. You know what I mean? Like we accomplishing things that people just like, how do you do it? And I'm just like, because I'm crazy. I'm a little nuts.
Yeah.
And I just know what I want to stand for. And I know that no one else can give that to me. That's something that I have to strive for. So I don't know, bro. I'm really one of them people that I'm a really big advocate for going out and getting the life that you want. And I need some order in my life because of the lessons that we've learned over the years. But like I just said, there's more life to live, so we're gonna learn from it. So with that being said, knowing that I have to deal with you, and I have a family with you, we gotta get along.
Yep.
We have to, because I'm not bailing out on my kids. I'm gonna be there, whether you like me or not. And if you wanna fight, we gonna fight. Whether it's in court, like, I'm ready
Exactly,
for war.
yeah.
Whatever I gotta do.
For my spot,
But
yeah,
I'm
my
gonna
seed.
continue throughout that process. No matter how ugly it gets, I'm gonna continue to offer a peace treaty. Mm-hmm. You know, okay, you got a new man. I probably don't like him yet.
Yeah.
I
Been
probably
there.
don't like him yet. I don't know him. Don't leave him with my kids alone.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? I'll reassure you and let you know that I probably won't always be like that. Mm-hmm. Once I see he's been around and you know what I mean, he's showing love to my child and proving
You will
himself to be an
naturally-
asset.
Yep.
Man, what's good, bro?
Yeah.
Bring it in.
Exactly.
I'm gonna let you know, I'm so glad that you in my child's life. I'm glad you being a positive influence on him. I'm glad you could put a smile on his face,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that you keeping everybody safe. I thank you for that shit.
Exactly.
I thank you for
That
it.
gives you a peace of mind.
That gives me peace of mind. I know y'all good, and guess what? The family just got bigger. That's just more people in this village that I was talking about. The village don't always look like you want it to. It don't
Say that
always
one
look like you want it
again.
to.
Say that one again.
But you
yeah.
gotta be smart enough to realize that you have one.
Yep.
So if you in a situation where there's other people involved, just have some type of process of vetting these people. You know what I mean? You have to be willing to give them a chance and try to trust them because this could be the village that God has provided you with.
Yep.
And it's up to us to make sure that we foster the relationships.
Gots to.
So, you know, that's something that we could put in our back pocket as we go through these struggles as parents and co-parents. Always look at the long term. You know what I mean? Just because I don't like them right now, don't mean I won't like them later. You know, they just, to me, like, these are all my spawn. You feel me? So, who died and made you king? These nuts.
All right.
These nuts made me king
created
because
this,
these is my babies. And whether you here or not, I owe this family something. And that includes their mom too.
Yep.
Now, it just goes depending on how the friction is, things can flow smoothly or it can be restricted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's gonna be that support there. So at the end of the day, bro, if we're gonna be playing ball, let's play ball and let's respect each other and you know, let's do things with intention and not out of spite because that gets us nowhere and you hurting my kid and now I'm gonna hurt you. And now once I hurt you, then the rest of the family's hurt.
Yep.
You know, now we completed the cycle and we're back tracking and now we're back crabbing in the barrel. You know, we're not doing that. So it's very, very important to work on it. You know what I mean? Even through the pain, just work on it, take those licks, they callous over, you know what I mean? But it's just very crucial that we take a step back ever so often and we just do a little progress report. You know, how are things going? You know, things could be good right now. And that's another way to get through it. If it's good right now, it's good right now. We ain't even gonna think about everything else. It's good right now because ain't no telling when it's gonna get sour again. You feel me? So that's one of the ways I've grown to cope. When it's good, cool. Because there's times where it's been good and I'm like, sorry, stop trying to kick it with me. I don't fuck with you like
exactly.
that.
But I'm guilty.
You know,
I've
I'm
done
just
that
like,
before,
let me just enjoy this moment. You want to share and, you know, I'm going to get into it. Like, let me get in character for this little piece, this little second of peace. You know what I mean? Like, this one little moment, we're on the same page. I'm going to enjoy it. We got to, you know, be grateful for the little things we get. Because it's just like when you be in that war, be grateful for that moment. Y'all get to rest and eat and, you know what I'm saying, re-energize before you get back to it. But, you know, as with everything else, this whole thing is a journey.
It is.
And so.
And there's no, like, perfect way to do it.
There isn't a perfect way to do it. And this is what we said in the last episode as well. I think I definitely would love to reiterate it. Just give yourself grace throughout the process.
Have to.
You know what I mean? You'll never be perfect at it. And a part of learning is experience, you know. So all experiences don't look the same, but experience is experience. But we can also be a little more progressive in the process of learning. We can read books. We can take initiative to kind of create structure and order and draw more, you know, boundaries and
talk
stuff
about
like
it.
that. Talk about it. Be vulnerable. You know what I mean? I know a lot of times where us as men, we open up to the women in our lives. I think a lot of times they unintentionally, they use that against you, and that in return can cause us to shut down and,
regress.
you know, be cold. But for the sake of our children, let's open up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if she hurt you, man, look, that's fucked up. That shit really hurt me.
Yeah.
That really hurt me. I hope that's what you was intending on doing, because it worked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just that.
Yep.
That might do something. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It could give them more fuel, or it could be like just something that just echoes in their head later on. Like, was that even necessary? You know, because a little part of them still cares about you. Because like I said, that good was there. And the reason that there could be so much friction is because the love was so strong. And that same emotion just converted to the dark side. Now
exactly. And
so that's why they would say, you know, kill them with love and kindness. Because for them, in order for them to hate you
so much, they had to love you so much, right? And it's just a switch in that emotion.
Yeah. And man, I think we can wrap it up with that, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man. That was good. That was good,
you
man.
You said it was therapeutic. I really believe that, and that's. I don't really know exactly where I want to go with the podcast yet. I just know that I want to get the conversations recorded and shared. You know what I mean? And however they start to take form, they start to take form.
And people gonna receive that, man. It's a message, man. Because what we speaking about real stuff that maybe people can sit there and relate to, right, and gravitate to. Just like, you know, we sat and gravitated to each other, right? Because like-minded individuals, you know, we come along, right? And what did Kenneth say?
I don't know.
he said if we reveal, we heal, something like that.
Yeah, we reveal, we heal. It always goes back to the origin story. Man.
Exactly. When we reveal it, you know, we can heal it. You know, and that's exactly, I think, what we did with this conversation. You know,
yeah, it almost didn't happen, man. Failure to. I still got a essence of the go with the flow type shit, because I was like, yeah, let's just shoot on Sunday, and then we get here nothing.
No, but I think it's good to kind of have both. You know, you have to have the go with the flow, and you also have to have the structure. I believe that in a sense, or because I feel like I'm a lot of that, because my sign is a Cancer. The Cancer is, I feel like, is kind of the crap where the yin and yang, right? The 6 and the 9, right? Is my sign, and I feel I'm a lot of that. I'm a lot of spontaneous, but I'm also very structured.
Yeah,
I'm also
very, very, very active.
I'm also very structured, but I'm also very, like, I'm kind of, you know, I'm very fast. You know, I talk fast. I'm constant. I can be very spontaneous too. But I think that's the push and the pull, the yin and yang a little bit too. I don't know. So I think it's good to have both.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be, you know, plan, but I also think it's good to go with the flow as well.
Yeah, because if you too plan, prep, if
yeah,
that plan and prep ain't looking right, you
be able to bend.
Never start. You never start.
No, but the context that you was using it in was solid, though. Was solid about, you know, not going with the flow too much, though, because it's all about context too. But yeah, I say a little bit of both, man. This was decent, man.
Yeah, bro.
I love, hey, man.
It's our second one. We actually did one. The very first run was with my boy Jay, and we did it at my office.
Yeah, we did it in the office, man. We had little phones to set up.
This still shot on the phone. Don't get it twisted, but we ain't had no mics or nothing like that.
Yeah.
To get us through it, so
you know,
we sent it out for review.
Moving on up.
They was like, yeah, you know, probably get some microphones and direct more of it to the audience and stuff. But full transparency, man, we working on it. I love being transparent, bro.
Gotta be.
The whole barbershop process, I was transparent through it, so I'm used to it. So I like to show y'all,
what it looked like,
it
man.
used to suck. But look at that shit now.
Now, exactly,
progress. Man. That's it.
Elevation.
And we gonna wrap it up with that.
This how we get it done. Yes, sir. That's how we do it, man. That's how we do it.